Okay, so medical gaslighting. You may have seen that term on social media in the last couple months, I know I have, and when I first saw the term I was a little bit confused as to what it actually was. Although when I started actually reading the stories to do with medical gaslighting, I realised that I had experienced that too, and to be honest, a fair number of people with chronic illnesses go through the same thing. Now, I'm not sure where the term actually comes from. I suspect somebody came up with the term and posted it on Twitter or Instagram, and I'm not really sure if it's an actual term that is accepted. It is nice to have a term that feels like it encapsulates your experience as a patient with a chronic illness without having to explain all of said experience. But what does the term actually mean? Let's go back a little bit because I'm a nerd and I like explaining things even though you didn't ask me to explain. So you've probably heard of the term gaslighting on its own, which is basically a form of psychological abuse and manipulation. I was surprised to know the term first came from a 1940s play and film titled Gaslight. Basically, this husband was doing some really booky illegal stuff and his wife was onto him, and he kept messing with the gaslight for some reason or another. She noticed it, but he kept trying to convince her that it was all in her head. Sound familiar? You probably had experiences with gaslighting on its own with certain people. It is designed to make you doubt your own reality, to doubt your own sanity, and therefore it makes you easier to manipulate. When it comes to medical gaslighting, in my experience, there are some similarities in terms of the effect on me as the victim or patient, but I think there are some differences in the way that it presents itself as well. Quick disclaimer, as I usually do whenever I'm talking about people that work in the medical field, this is not a video to bash doctors and nurses. This is more explaining a situation that is often experienced by patients. At the end of the day, I know some wonderful people, wonderful nurses and doctors who I owe so much to. But interestingly enough, in order to meet them, I've often had to experience people that weren't very nice to me, and people that didn't believe me, unfortunately. And that's just because doctors and nurses are humans and they're all different. However, the experiences with those who doubted what I was saying, who didn't believe me, have left lasting marks. I mean, to make a long story short, the way I perceive medical gaslighting to be is when a medical professional, doctor or otherwise, does not believe the patient when they are experiencing the symptoms they say they are, or they may chalk the physical symptoms that this person is experiencing of a physical disease to a mental illness. It could also be discharging, dismissing them. The process is different for everyone. In my particular case, I had the symptoms of lupus, but I also had antibodies present in my blood that are usually indicative of some form of autoimmune disease. Not necessarily lupus, but lupus, Sjogren's syndrome and arthritis. And even with all of that, the doctor was not convinced that I had lupus and was very convinced that I had a mental illness and referred me to a psychotherapist and to have antidepressants. Until this day, what that experience has caused me is doubt. I have doubt all the time about what I experience and if what I'm feeling is real. Every time I go to a lupus consultant appointment, every time I have a good day when my symptoms aren't that serious, I have doubt that makes me think, well, maybe she was right, maybe I am just making it up. That's not the case, and a lovely horrible flare-up is a reminder of that, but that is still there, and I've been diagnosed for 5 years. It's a very strange place to be in when you don't believe your body. You know, this type of thing happens all the time to so many people. I mean, in the documentary Unrest, that happened to Jennifer Breyer. She had ME and was told it was conversion disorder and all sorts of other things.
If you say too little, they can't help you. And if you say too much, they think you're a mental patient.
This type of thing bleeds into other stuff and the way the public perceives people with chronic illnesses. So as a patient, not only are you going through the symptoms that you're dealing with and the confusion of not knowing what it is, but to be made to feel like you're doubting yourself and to not be believed by the people that you have grown up to be taught to trust, it's hard. And you know, after my experience not being believed with lupus, I thought I was done. I thought finally for anything else I go for, people would believe me. And that was not the case. And to be honest, I've gone through this experience with any condition that I've been properly diagnosed with, which is frustrating. But one thing this whole process has taught me every time is to self-advocate and make sure I'm trying to believe in myself regardless of whether I feel a bit off that day or not. Because at the end of the day, I always wonder where I would be if I'd have listened to that lady and believed that I didn't have lupus. I just wonder where my health would be. And you know, this video, it's not about working against your doctor. Because with your feeling of your body and your symptoms and your intuition, as well as your doctor's experience and education, you should be working together as a team to try and figure this out. Now, if that doctor is not willing to work with you as a team, then you need to find a new doctor. Rather than having this relationship of a battle against your doctor, it should be, I think, a journey of finding that person that has the time, patience and care to work with you to figure this out. Also, complete side note, I follow this account called Can't Go Out, I'm Sick, Mean Girl reference for the win. They made a really cool series about believe people when they have a chronic illness, and I'm in that series. I have a picture which is painted of me and it says believe Jamisha, and there are other people with chronic illnesses that have the same. It's a really cool series, so I highly suggest you go to their account. Last but not least, if you're going through this process and you're struggling and it's hard, whether it's for a mental condition, whether it's for a chronic illness or for both, or for something completely different, I just have one thing to say to you, which is really, really important. I believe you. Anyway, thanks so much for watching that video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching this on YouTube and you liked the video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you can be made aware of whenever I upload a video. Thanks so much for watching that video and I will see you in the next one.